Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my movie vlog. My name is John Campea, and we're here to talk about a little piece of news that just hit regarding the upcoming Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart film, Jumanji. Now, of course, the movie is coming out. It gets released on December 20th, so just a few weeks, not a very enviable spot, but just a few weeks after Star Wars The Last Jedi hits the web. But a lot of people have been talking about this movie, some positively, some not so positively. Now, look, I'm going to tell you right now, my impression of it has been, I wasn't thrilled with the idea of a Jumanji movie, at least, this kind of reboot thing, when they first announced it. The first trailer or so came out, and I wasn't all that excited about it. Honestly, and then after I saw Baywatch, I started getting a little bit worried. Are we about to see another Baywatch situation? Because I absolutely hated Baywatch, which hurts my heart. That hurts my heart, because I love The Rock. I have a very special place in my heart for The Rock, and I hated Baywatch. I just thought it was terrible. But then something funny happened. I mentioned this last week, that I saw the latest trailer for Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, and it won me over. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't jumping up and down saying, this is my most anticipated movie of the year now, but it won me over. I thought it was really clever and fun, and the whole atmosphere of the trailer, the temperature they were going for, it seemed to be hitting all the right chords. So I started getting kind of enthusiastic about this movie. Anyway, you also might notice that, of course, one of the stars of the film, besides the big names like Jack Black and Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, is Carey Gillan. And you might recognize her name, you might not recognize her face, but of course she plays Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy film, so that might get you a little bit extra encouraged for the film as well. Well, anyway, the social media embargo has lifted for a group of film critics who have seen the movie already. Now, I haven't seen the movie yet myself. I've been off running around and doing some things, but I haven't seen the movie yet myself. So I've been curious as well, what will the early reactions be to Jumanji? And I gotta tell you, from all the reactions that I've read, extremely positive. Let's look over at a couple of these reactions that we've been getting from some film critics and seeing what they're having to say about this kind of stuff. First of all, we'll start with Peter Soretta, my buddy over at Slash Film. He wrote, was expecting the worst, like a lot of us, but have to admit the new Jumanji movie is a lot of fun. I'd even say it's one of the best quote-unquote video game movies ever made, maybe under only King of Cons, Scott Pilgrim, Edge of Tomorrow, and Wreck-It Ralph, although none of those are based on adaptations. Absolutely right, none of those are adaptations. We go on now over to Cinema Blend's Eric Eisenberg, who writes, happy to say that I was pleasantly surprised by Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. It's fun and funny in equal measure and makes smart use of its great stars. Not much of a universe builder for a fantasy sequel, but definitely a reinvention that works. We go down now to Kate Eberland, who writes, hey, about that new Jumanji movie, it's fun. It's the kind of family-friendly outing that should help settle a lot of debates this holiday season. Jack Black is very, very funny, and I kind of love how they attempt to make a true sequel to the original with some wonky engineering. This should be pointed out to a lot of the reactions that I've been reading about Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle are indeed highlighting Jack Black and talking a lot about Jack Black and the role that he plays in the movie. So that's something that should be pointed out. All right, this next one here comes from Mike Rougeau, who writes, saw Jumanji. It's light on nostalgia besides a handful of Easter eggs, but a lot of fun. The body swap stuff is so good. Could watch Jack Black play a teenage girl stuck in Jack Black's body, or The Rock's newly discovering his muscles forever. That's a pretty positive. We go down to Brandon Davis, and Brandon Davis writes, Jumanji was a ton of fun. Great nods to the original. Jack Black steals it. The Rock and Kevin Hart need to keep working together. On and on. The reviews and reactions all echo these similar sentiments. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. It's exciting in equal measure. Jack Black apparently steals it, and then some people thinking The Rock steals it. The chemistry that we've seen in movies like Central Intelligence between The Rock and Kevin Hart seems to still be in place. Everybody seems to be really excited about this movie. And the interesting thing I'm getting from these reactions is that a number of these critics that are reacting to the film are people who are like me in the sense that I know a number of these people were not expecting much from this movie, like at all. Now, in a second here, for those of you who are watching this live, I want to get your thoughts and opinions. For those of you who are watching live right now, I want your thoughts and opinions, your thoughts, your anticipation level, your doubts, whatever it is about Jumanji. Tweet them to me right now at John Campea. Just send a tweet to me there, because I want to know what you guys are thinking about this and these early reactions that we're getting. And actually, I'm going to go over to the Twitter board right now well. And we'll start with this one. This one is coming to us from Panikin Crybaby. Some of you guys have the best Twitter handles. Anyway, Panikin Crybaby is writing, John, the Justice League reactions were mostly positive until the reviews got released. Well, yes, but keep this in mind, too, about the Justice League early reactions. They all had positive elements, but most of those early reactions were also talking negative. Like they'd say, hey, the movie's fun. They'd say to Justice League, it's a step in the right direction. That's a phrase we heard a lot. Step in the right direction. Although it has its weaknesses, it has its flaws, it's kind of messy, blah, 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 blah. So the reactions were generally positive, but they also highlighted in their reactions, a lot of them highlighted that there are big problems with the movie at the same time. What is different between the Justice League early reactions and these early reactions is I'm not hearing any disclaimers. I'm just hearing people saying entertaining, fun, funny, all this kind of stuff. And I'm not hearing them any of them going, well, the movie has a few problems I had to get by. Well, there's some things that aren't so good about the movie, but generally I liked it. Like, that seems to be the big differentiating factor here between the Justice League early reactions and these early reactions, is that the Justice League early reactions had some positive stuff in it, but it also highlighted in their reactions that there was negatives as well. The difference between that and this one is the fact that we don't see any yeah buts in the reaction. They just seem to be positive across the board. So I'm glad you brought that up, Panic and Crybaby, because that's the first thought that went through my head as well. It's like, well, the early reactions for Justice League were great too, but there is a big difference between those early reactions and these ones. The next early tweet that we have comes to us from Low-Key Jedi, who writes, John, I hope it's a good film because I've always loved the original, although I'm surprised since the trailers weren't that good. See, I was with you. I wasn't a big fan of those early couple of trailers and those early couple of spots. But again, it's when I saw the latest trailer that I started to get a better picture for what kind of a film they were putting to, what was the tone of this film really going to be. And it felt great to me. It was making me laugh. I was enjoying it. It looks like Jack Black kind of maybe steals this movie at the same time. So that's the one that really won me over. This one comes to us from Cortez Aiden, who writes, John, I think it looks good, and I wonder, what is Nick Jonas's role in it? I don't know. It seems like he's sort of like a little bit of a tour guide. It's tough because we only see a few brief seconds of him in any of the trailers. It strikes me that he's maybe kind of a guide principal, someone who's going to walk them through their adventure, I guess. So I don't know. We'll have to see what his role ends up being. Fear the Beard 013 writes, John, I don't know what to watch first, Jumanji or The Greatest Showman. Well, for me, it's still The Greatest Showman, the Hugh Jackman one. That's probably my number one. For any movie that's not named Star Wars, The Greatest Showman is probably the number one most anticipated movie for me for the rest of the year, what's to come out. But I got to say, Jumanji, with the latest stuff that I've been seeing and now with these early reactions, I'm starting to see that climb up my scale. Next comes from Plastic Man 14, who's tweeting in, I was sold when Kevin Hart for real ate the piece of cake, Jumanji. That was a terrific, terrific moment in the trailer. And it did something that not a lot of trailers do. It was a callback within the same trailer. Because remember, they set up that joke earlier in the trailer with the whole, his weakness is cake. You think that's the gag. But that's not the gag. That's the setup to the gag that comes later in the trailer with him, of course, eating the cake. And yeah, so that was good too. This next tweet comes to us from Matt the Misfit, who writes, John, hey John, here's a non-movie question. What is your favorite band? So that came in for something else, obviously. This next one comes to us from official Amian, who writes, John, would this qualify as an actual video game film? See, I would say no. Because it's not, see, I consider a video game movie when there is a video game out there, and it's been around for a while, and now there is a movie being based on that video game. So, for instance, what was that terrible one with Adam Sandler with the big digital Pac-Man that was out a couple years ago? Anyway, that I would not consider a video game movie. It's based around video games. I would not consider it a video game movie. Wreck-It Ralph. I do not consider that a video game movie. That's a movie about a video game, but it's not a video game movie. A Pac-Man movie would be a video game movie. A, Last of Us movie would be a video game movie. I consider when there's an existing video game that became popular on its own and then a movie gets based on that game, then it's a video game movie. So personally, just me, I don't consider Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, I don't consider that an actual video game movie for those reasons entirely. Okay, this next thought comes to us, and I just take a couple more here. Julius Kinder writes, John, could they make a sequel to Zathura if Jumanji 2 does well? I don't know. I don't think Zathura was one that is nearly as beloved or remembered as Jumanji was. So I have my doubts that they'll do something like that whatsoever. Okay, let's take this last one today. Comes to us again from Official Amini, who writes, John, this will probably help its box office and maybe become the second biggest film in December. I think that's a very good bet. I think it's a very good bet that Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle could possibly be the second biggest film in December. Obviously, the biggest film of December and the biggest film of 2017 is going to be Star Wars The Last Jedi. But how will it do? It's also going to be really interesting to see how it does 2 weeks separated. Now, 2 weeks separated is kind of enough time. It'll have to see what kind of effect that Star Wars The Last Jedi has on its box office. I think it'll be minimal because I think 2 weeks separation time is enough time. All right, guys, that will do it for this quick video talking about these early reactions for the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle movie. Very big reactions that we're getting. I want to know, what do you think about these reactions? Are you excited to hear these reactions? Are these as good as you were expecting? Are they a lot better than you were expecting? Were you like me and you had your doubts about this film? Are you somebody who's been very enthusiastic about it? Leave me your thoughts in the comments section below. Listen, guys, while you're here, click the thumbs up button. Make sure you like this video. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And make sure you're following me on social media simply at John Campea. So, that will do it for me, guys. Thanks for joining me for this video. And until the next video, bye-bye.